Howdy all. So, it's time for part 3 of the driver's door. Let's get into it. Alright, so after many hours of sanding, the door is ready for some colour. So we're going to start with the back side of the door, and once that dries then we'll flip it over and we will hit it on the front side. But first we have to move out of the super shed. So here is the sanded down door. I just need to give that a clean before paint, but we're going to move it under the pergola because that's my paint booth for colour, because paint just makes a hell of a mess. Well, the colour does anyway, so we're going to put it under there and get painting. Alrighty, that coat's done. Now while that dries properly, and I've cleaned everything up, and I'm turning into a Smurf, that doesn't matter. While that dries properly, I'm going to take the dog for a walk, and then by then it'll be lunchtime. I'll have some lunch, and then we'll smash out the front side of the door. Looking at the door here, so what I've gone for here is the factory overspray to go on the inside of the door, and then the door card will go over the top of that. So forever in future, for whatever reason, if someone went to peel back the door card, it would look like it was factory blue. So that's come up pretty nice. Now I'm going to flip this over and we will do the front side, and then when that dries, down for the clear coat. Alrighty guys, that's 4 coats of top clear. It's pretty good. I did get some crap in it, but there's no way of getting that out. It's just already sunk into the paint. So there's a dog hair right smack bang in the middle there, and I ain't getting that out, so it just have to be part of the dog, part of the car, forever, eh? Right, we'll let this set a little bit and we'll get the clear coat on. Alrighty, painting, clear coat done. It's turned out pretty damn good. Again, this is probably one little bit better than what the boot lid was. This has probably got very minimal orange peel in it, which I am rapt about, but we'll wait until it fully hardens before we count our chickens before they hatch. So I've got to stick this in the what are they called? The oven to bake it, aka the super shed, because it gets quite warm in there. The dog's happy with our effort too. A little bit of gunk in it, but I'm hoping if I have to do any wet sanding, that will get most of that out, but pretty good. Now, if you keep persisting with stuff and you don't know what you're doing, you will eventually get better. And that's what's happening to me. So, what was I going to say? Yeah, that time with the clear coat, I put a little bit bigger nozzle in the gun. I went from a 1.6 to 1.7 because most of the time when I spray clear coat, it comes out very patchy and not too wet. So I just upped the nozzle size, and this was like perfect wet coats, thick. So that's 3 wet coats on that. So we'll give that time to dry here before we move it into the super shed, and give it at least 24 hours to dry before we even think about any wet sanding, and we'll come back to you when that time comes. G'day again. Now I have rubbed back the clear coat and made that nice and smooth on the door, so we're ready to give it a buff and hopefully bring up some shine. Now, I did spend about 3 hours rubbing that thing back, so here's a quick gander of what it looks like. So looking a bit dull after the sanding, but we'll get the, what's it called? The buffer. We'll get some shine on it. Let's go. Just one other thing, guys. Now on some of this time lapse, I'm going to put on some very special music for you to listen to while I'm working. Now this is from my good mate, Jade Gibbon. Now, if you like guitars and Kiss and rock and roll, that kind of stuff, go check him out on at Jade Gibbon. I'll put his name up so you can get it right. Give him a go, and I'd like to thank him for the music, and he's a good man. So give him a follow as well if you like that kind of stuff. So let's have a listen to it, eh? After lots of buffing, a little bit more sanding, a bit more buffing, I think I've got it to where a stage that I'm happy with what we got here. Now it's got very good shine on it. You can see my ugly mug in it, and if I've done that in the shade, that's pretty good for me. So, you can see, look at the reflection from outside. How good is that? Pretty good, I reckon. Anyway, yes, so now let's start putting this thing back together so that it's ready when it's ready to go back on the car in 80 million years. So we'll put door handle and lock in, and our refurbished rubber trim that goes on there, and then we'll put in our remanufactured check strap that we're going to make or have made. Let's get to assembly. Alright, so before I put the door handle back in the door, I've decided I'm going to give this a quick buff up on the buffer machine and polish it up so it's nice and shiny to go with a nice and shiny door when it's all back together. Let's go. Okay guys, so that didn't go quite as good as I wanted it to, but it's come up all right. Now, it's not the perfect door handle to start with, being the driver's door with hands going in and out of it all the time. So it's got a bit of shine in it, but as you can see in here, there's a bit of damage in here, and these things are bloody hard to clean. So you can see, you know, the chrome's come up a bit shiny. Bit of hand polish on that, and should come up a bit better, but let's get this sucker back on the door, eh? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to try and attempt to fit the door handle back into the door without scratching, but I probably should clean this up first before we go anywhere, because there's no point trying to clean it once it's in like that, because you're not going to see it. It's very dirty, so we'll give this a clean first, and then we'll attempt to put from underneath, under there, through there, and we'll try and remember how it all connects up. Now, I did take lots of photos and playing around with it when I took it out, but that was 1 or 2 months ago, so I doubt I'm going to remember that, so I'm going to spend a bit of time fiddling around with this thing, so let's see how we go, eh? Oh, what a mission, guys. Now the problem I had, because I'm putting new door locks in to match the boot lid and ignition, so that's the aftermarket one. But the original one, what happens is, you got the gasket so you don't get water in. This is like 3 times as thick as the original one, and you just can't get the clip to go on. Like, it's just so thick. So, and then that seems to be small as well, like really tight. So I've used the original gasket with the original lock because that was still in good condition, and then the locking clip as well. And oh, it was a big effort to get that in. Like, it was really tight, but I've got it in. And let's have a look, see, eh? Now if you look down in here, it's all connected back up, and we go to the underside under here, the handle and lock are in. So we'll lock this for you to show you that it all works. So door closed, and we'll grab the handle and it opens. So I haven't tried it with the key, but we'll lock it there. We'll lock the central locking there, and we'll pull the handle. Nothing, so that's all working good. We'll slide him back, pull that, and we're laughing. So next I think I'll put on is we'll get rid of all that protecting the window, and we will put the rubber back on. And that little rubber there, we'll put him on too before we forget.
just before I flip the door over, have I got a treat for you guys. Now, I don't know if you've seen in previous videos early on in my days, I did the door trims. Well, I've just sat it on top of the door to see whether it fits. There's a little bit of adjustment, but it looks pretty bloody good. Have a look at this, would you? Have a look at that. Now it's just sitting on top. All the holes are in the right place and everything. For the central locking, we haven't put the trims and stuff in there. Like that hole there for the handle lines up. Mat pocket's good. All the plastic clips, which are all brand new, all line up with the holes. Now the only thing that I can see that I have to trim is the weather strip here. It's just a smidgen too long. I just need to take maybe 2 or 3 mil off the end of that and tap him down, and bam, 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 it's on. But how freaking good is that? All the nice velour, new carpet. Now I'm not going to leave this on out here because it's going to get dirty as hell, but schmicko. Okay, so I've wrapped up the door, and you wouldn't believe what happened. That I got it all together. I put the trim on, the mirror on, everything, and I got a stray hand in the handle and the rod popped off, and I thought, why has it done that? And of course, to put the rod back on, you have to take it all apart. So mirror off, trim off, security plate out, all that, back to zero. So, and then when I got it out, I realized I forgot to put the little clip on the little lever that the rod goes through. That's why it popped off. So in a way, it was a good thing that it popped off there, not when it was back on the car or anything like that. So it was a lot harder to put the rod back in with the clip on. And being hunched over for so long, I've hurt my back. So now I'm walking around like a cripple, but the door is done and I will give you a gander. Check this out. Okay, so in between the two cars here, we have the finished door on the outside. The inside, I don't have the trim and I don't have the backing plate for the mirror, but because that's all gonna have to come off again to put wiring through and all that kind of stuff. But as you can see, my legs in there and my reflection in there. So the more sunnier it is, the more reflection it has. So I'm very happy with the way this door's turned out. And my new manual mirror. There's a little toggle inside there. And all the rubber, everything on, the door rubbers, everything on. So, as I said, is it perfect? No. Am I happy with it? Yes. Yes, I am. So, I'm going to wrap this video up here and we'll get on to something else when my back's feeling a little bit better, which will hopefully be tomorrow, but who knows. All right, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more videos to come in the future. Ciao, ciao.